Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset number 6, have the potential to go at least one more round. Deron Holmes, Shahade Wells, and Enrique Freeman, 3 players you have to know about.
We're back, folks. Tuesday, different time today. Starting today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 to 3 p.m., I am going to be on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio talking fantasy football with Dave Martinez here on our FTN show. Honored to be a part of that for the rest of the NFL season. So it means our Tuesday show is going to move. Usually I figure 10 o'clock. What do you think? Earlier in the day gives it more shelf life. You can come to me at Discord if you have any questions, anything's changed, things like that. I don't want to wait till too late because I want to make sure that I get the picks to you as soon as possible. So thank you always for joining me. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button here. FTN Fantasy, we have you covered. The college basketball betting show off to a phenomenal start. We are up 14.6 units on college basketball sides, and the season is only 2 weeks old, folks. That's how we roll here. We love college basketball. We have our entire crew who come in here. It's a collaborative effort. We do it together. We hold hands. We go through the season. We pick sides and totals, and we peak at March Madness, hoping to find another Florida Atlantic from 2 years ago. So as always, 20 minutes. I'm going to go through the slate. I'll cover all the games for you. Now, lines may have moved. I put these in last night, so you can talk about it, ask me questions here. And again, hit me up. Make sure you put those comments in if you have. You can reach me on X at Randle Rant, or of course here at FTN Fantasy. You see on the bottom there, you can use the promo code College Basketball Show, CBB Show, get 15% off annual packages, VIP packages. We have a ton of stuff that you're going to want here for college basketball season. The only place to go for college basketball season. What have we learned so far? Again, I'm going to stay with this. Don't leave your wingman. If you've been watching the show, you know what I mean by this. You have to prove to me that I should take you as a favorite. You should default to the underdog. Why? There's too many moving parts. It's early in the season. We still have NFL going, NBA, all this great stuff going on. College football is hitting its peak. Lines are attackable. You can go after lines. You can find advantages. But what we need to know is that we don't know certain things. We have ideas. We have coaches. We have schemes. We have players. But always default to the underdog. Don't go with a favorite unless you're absolutely confident. That's what's working so far and it's going really well. Gonzaga returned to form. The Zags are a juggernaut. That game against Arizona State threw me off a little bit, but they responded well, taking UMass Lowell to the woodshed and beating them by, almost 80 points. And then San Diego State, young San Diego State team, Nick Boyd over there from Florida Atlantic, but still not easy when you play them at home. Beat them by 13 with a nice cover there. I think the line was 12.5, so they got to the window. Gonzaga is good, folks, and they're really good, and they're going to be tested with games coming up. They have Kentucky, they have UConn, they have UCLA. So they have some big games in December. And I think we're going to have some advantages there on these Gonzaga lines. Don't be fooled by Wisconsin. I'm not buying Wisconsin. They had the miracle game there where everything was hit. And that happens against Arizona. They beat Arizona at home on Friday, 103-88. Now, you score 103 points, Wisconsin. That's like scoring 3,000 at any other school. John Tonje, 41 points for Wisconsin. Great job. Last night, we got to the window. UT Rio Grande Valley is sneaky. They are a problem. They are a small school that no one knows about. They're an issue. They covered the 21-point line, no problem. Wisconsin wins 87-84. What I will tell you, little concerned about the Wisconsin defense not being where it normally is. May want to attack some of those overs. They gave up 67 points at home to Montana State, who doesn't play fast. 88 to Arizona. I get it, but Caleb Love couldn't hit anything. And then 84 to UT Rio Grande Valley. So be careful with them. And who, you know what they have on Friday? They have UCF at a neutral. UCF, Johnny Dawkins. Bring it tonight, Purdue. I don't think you're good. I think you got off to a nice start. I think you beat an Alabama team who relies on three-pointers way too much. And I don't think you have the chops to win this game tonight. Spoiler alert. So you bring it to me, Purdue. You prove me wrong. Trey Kaufman run. You show me you can be an intense player inside the arc. We'll find out tonight. The Connecticut slump is coming. Get out ahead of this. Connecticut is wonderful. Danny Hurley's great. They are the kings of college basketball. I just think they're overvalued by the market. They have the nation's longest active winning streak at 10 games. You go back to last year. They played Sacred Heart, New Hampshire, Lemoyne. Here are the games they have coming up. They have Memphis on a neutral on Monday. Okay. Then they, starting December, Baylor, Texas, Gonzaga, Xavier, Butler, DePaul. And those three teams, especially DePaul, spoiler alert, are better than you think. Baylor, Texas, Gonzaga. Those lines are going to be overinflated. I don't think UConn is anywhere near where they were last year. Not that they won't have a good year. They'll probably be 20-6. They'll probably make the Sweet 16. They're not a national championship team. No chance. And the lines aren't reflected with it yet. So we're going to wait for that Connecticut slump and pound those lines. Guys, maybe Pittsburgh is good. Pittsburgh kind of sneaking under the radar here in the ACC. All Pittsburgh has done, they're 5-0. They blasted Radford, not easy. They blasted Murray State, Gardner-Webb, West Virginia at home, and then they took VMI. Now, they have LSU, they have Ohio State, they have some tough games coming up, but Pittsburgh looks really good. They are shooting 37% from three. They're not turning the ball over at all. They're defending inside the arc. Good job by Jeff Capel here. Pittsburgh on the radar. Pretty good. St. John's, Baylor, Thursday in the Bahamas. What gets better than that? Can't wait for that game. That one's coming up here. But make sure, and I think it's in the Bahamas, make sure you enjoy these multi-team tournaments as soon as you can, because I read an article on UConn, which made total sense, which said that because of name, image, and likeness, these schools have to cut back on the expenses, and traveling to the Bahamas or traveling to Maui is a huge expense. And while it's nice to go out there, those games don't pack all the time, and they'd much rather, like UConn, go to Madison Square Garden and play there, or go to Atlanta, or go somewhere in the States where you get more attendance and you can get more revenue. So these multi-team tournaments where people go away to Bahamas or Maui or one of these locations, they may be ending here. So be careful with those. Enjoy them while you can. Matthew Morrell makes a huge difference for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is good. They really disappointed me with their recent performance, but that's because they didn't have Matthew Morrell. That game against South Alabama, they won by 10 at home, and that was coming off beating Grambling by 2 at home. But Morrell is back, and they played in a semi-home game in Mississippi against Colorado State. Good Colorado State team, coached by Nico Megved, beat them 84-69, and it was never close. So let's watch them here. All Roberts, BYU. We have Igor Demon coming in. Louisville have some winnable games here. Ole Miss, Chris Beard getting it right there. And remember, folks, it's all about the matchups. If you're in the Discord yesterday, I got the North Florida game wrong. Made no sense. North Florida has been scalding hot. They played some big teams. They've played well. North Florida, only 4.5-point favorite over UNC Asheville, who lost a lot of players from last year. Always a solid team. Lost a lot of players. Hadn't had a win this year. Line was weird. I watched it all day. Didn't get over 5. Went back down to 4.5. And sure enough, UNF, North Florida, loses. They'll be back. But remember, it's about the matchups. You have a team like Asheville who can guard them from the arc, can do some things, break them down on offense. That's a bad matchup. Forget the records. Here we go. Today's picks we'll get to. We got a couple comments there. Hutch, you are always here, my brother. I love you, man. Thank you so much. Asa, how many days till March? A good question. Let me type that in really quick here. Good question. Days until March. Let's see what we got. 102 days. So we got 100 days on Thursday. 102 days here to March. We're ready to roll. College basketball season in the house. Here we go. Today's picks. Round the horn. Got this last night. It's up to 5. I put it in the Discord. That's why you got to join FTN Fantasy if you want to get the numbers right away. Marquette minus 3.5 for Purdue. Marquette is solid. They have Cam Jones. It's in Fiserv Forum. They play defense. I don't buy Purdue. I don't buy Purdue on the road. I don't think Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith are big-time players that can create off the dribble. I don't think Smith is a Big Ten Player of the Year option. No, I don't. Trey Kaufman-Renn inside. Enough. I'm not buying in here. Marquette, solid defense. Stevie Mitchell getting in the lanes, causing chaos. Shaka on the sideline, clapping it up. I think Marquette wins this game. Talk about don't leave your wingman. I'm leaving him here. I think Marquette covers, no problem. You know, this one was odd, and this one's an early game. So for those that aren't aware, Quinnipiac is the preseason favorite in the MAC. Tom Pecora is the coach. Tom Pecora has been there for 2 years. He was with Fordham for a while. Then he was out at Forum, took a couple of years off. Now he's back at Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac last year in the MAC won the regular season. They lost to St. Peter's in the tournament. St. Peter's went on, got the bid, and went to the NCAA tournament. I like this team. They have a decent amount of players back. They're the favorite in the MAC. They make their free throws. They should get this game against Navy. Yes, it's on the road. Yes, it's at Navy. Yes, Navy can be frisky at home. Navy's numbers this year are horrific. They're terrible at defending the three. They're terrible at defending inside the arc. They're not making threes. Their field goal percentage, only 47%, not great from 2-point range. Quinnipiac should get this game. I don't like taking favorites on the road, especially between two teams that are really close. But I think Quinnipiac is the better team. They are the best team in the MAC. They're coming off a win over Maine. They played St. John's fairly tough. They played a tough Yale team. They played a better schedule. They're the better team. I think this team finds a way to get it tonight, especially with Amari Monroe, who did not play well against St. John's because the size bothered him. That's not going to happen here with Navy. He had 21 points in 4 steals in the win over Maine. I think they get this one here. Rivalry game, Queens College in North Carolina against App State. I love App State. They can be fantastic. They had a great win over Auburn last year at home, but they lost a lot. Dustin Kearns is an excellent coach. They're 1-2. This is both schools in North Carolina. Appalachian State's in Boone, North Carolina. Queens is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Queens is solid in terms of offensive movement. They can make some threes. They defend well inside the arc. They're not going to hurt themselves with turnovers. Appalachian State doesn't look at the same level that they normally are. I think Dustin Kearns will get it right. And oh, by the way, the one that swung me on this, App State, 55.9% from the free throw line this year. And they're the 4th worst team in college basketball at turnovers. I'll take the 8.5, even at App State, which is a tough place to play in this one. I was impressed with Bowling Green. They covered against Michigan State. This Bowling Green team is good, and they have players, and they can get the ball up, and they can score. Todd Simon has done a very good job. His second year now, came over from Southern Utah. Bowling Green played well at Michigan State. They played at home. Davidson is solid. Southern Miss away. Now they need a win, and here comes Niagara. They're going to push the pace up and down the floor. They have some great players. If you don't know Marcus Johnson, check him out. He's like a sort of Escalade from the N1 Mix Tour. Big guy inside. He can make some shots. He likes to shoot him. He's 111 from 3-point range, but he can rebound. He can score. Good versatility. I think they make some threes. I think they push the pace, and I think they bury Niagara tonight at home in a big home win. Both Wake Forest and Western Carolina like to push the pace. Both teams, Wake Forest at home is one of the best cash teams in terms of overs. They get their pace, and they get up and down the floor. I like this game to go over. It's at 144.5. I think we get to 150, somewhere like 76, 74, 77, 73, something like that. I think they get over in this one strictly on pace. Bounce back here for Ohio State against Evansville. I don't like laying big numbers, but Ohio State looks pretty good. They're in the mix with Oregon and then Maryland. For some reason, I'm hanging on to Maryland in the Big Ten. They're coming off a loss to Texas A&M. They beat Youngstown at home. They beat Texas on a neutral. Now they come home against Evansville here. They're great defensively. They're playing really well lockdown, defending the 3-point line, holding teams inside the arc. Evansville does not have the defense that's going to limit this offensive attack. They're allowing 61% from inside the arc, 36% from 3-point range. They don't rebound at all, Evansville. Limited rebounding ability. They were up big on Radford at home and got buried. You give up 92 points to Radford, Ohio State could hit 100 tonight. The pace of play is just not there. Neither is the defense. We're taking Ohio State and laying the big number. UMBC, another team under Jim Ferry that likes to run up and down the court. Hampton should be able to accommodate them. Hampton plays at a slower pace, but I think UMBC gets their pace, and Hampton's going to have to speed it up tonight. Hampton, despite the fact that they play very slow, gave up 82 points to George Washington away, and they're willing to run. Norfolk State, they were competitive. I think they're competitive with UMBC. UMBC doesn't get slowed down. They just take bad shots. So UMBC is going to run either way. It's at 148.5. We're going over there. KenPom has it at 149, 77, 72. I think Hampton keeps this game close. I think UMBC pushes the pace, and I think we go over on that one. And because they keep it close, I'm also taking Hampton plus the 7 here. That game against Norfolk State was tough. They also played well at Providence. So Hampton has actually been very competitive here. I don't trust UMBC. They play zero defense. So if Hampton can just make some shots, they can keep this game close. Anytime I can fade Doug Gottlieb, I'm going to do it. It hurt me against Western Illinois because they went absolutely crazy from 3-point range. That's not going to happen again. Green Bay now playing SIU Edwardsville. Green Bay coming off the loss to Providence. Now they come home. SIU Edwardsville beat Indiana State, beat Western Michigan, beat Canisius. So they're flying high. They actually were competitive against Indiana for a long period of time. I like this Edwardsville team. I don't like Doug Gottlieb. I don't think you can just step in and coach when you've been hosting a podcast. So I think there's turnovers here. I like SIU Edwardsville +2 with a small underdog. I'm going back to Vermont, and you're going to laugh at me. I believe in John Becker. I believe in this Vermont team. The problem is the turnovers. They've been turning the ball over way too much, which is not a typical Vermont situation. Now, if you look at their games, they beat UAB, very impressive. The Auburn game was out of control. Auburn hit threes. They ran away and hit. The Merrimack loss away was bad. Iona, they were up big and gave it back because of the turnovers. Buffalo stinks. I just think they get it right here. Buffalo has been terrible. I don't trust this team at all. Lost at home to Bryant by 23. This is a believe in Becker game. I know it's a lot of points, and I know you don't want to lay it, and I don't mind if you lay off. I am staying with John Becker. He gets it right. He's proven it over a decade at Vermont. They are struggling right now. I think this is a 20-point win. I think the number's too low. I don't blame you. It opened at 15.5. It's gone down, so Buffalo's getting some money. I'm taking Vermont here, laying the points. Dartmouth is not good. I've watched Dartmouth a couple times. They struggle, and Marist is actually better than you think. They are second in the MAC there, the preseason poll behind Quinnipiac. So Marist is pretty good under John Dunn. They play a slow pace. Their defense is solid. They won away at Richmond. They battled Harvard, beat Army in OT. I like this Marist team. I don't think Dartmouth's very good. They cannot create off the dribble. The problem with Marist is they're just drive and kick. They can't get to the basket. They're not going to break Marist down with this defense. They're not even shooting threes well. Dartmouth, with all their struggles, are 65% from the free throw line and 26% from three-point range. They're not shooting well. I don't buy it. Give me Marist minus the big number at home against Dartmouth. I don't buy Minnesota either. Minnesota struggles have also been serious, and that's a problem. I've given them plenty of time to try to get it right, and they are really struggling across the board. They play at a very slow pace, so points are at a premium. They're one of the slowest teams, Minnesota, in the entire country. So I'm going to take the 14.5 with Cleveland State, who can light it up and turn you over here. Cleveland State is top 30 in turnover rate. So a team that forces turnovers against the Minnesota team that is very, very slow, I'll take those points. Hofstra's good with Speedy Claxton. We got to the window with +6 against Massachusetts. So we're going to take Hofstra +7.5 here against Florida State. Believe in them there. Florida State's always very up and down. They lost a game to Florida. They can give up 3-pointers. Hofstra likes to shoot it. That's fine. I'm taking Hofstra +7.5. West Georgia's not great. Scott Cross covers, lost 2 in a row now. Close. We had a chance there, but they gave it back. I'm going to take Troy minus the 13.5 at West Georgia. West Georgia, not used to this type of game. They need this win. Scott Cross, he's going to prepare them. They're going to get up. They're going to deflect the ball. They're going to hit threes. They're going to get out in transition. It's a really big number, but I'm believing in Scott Cross. Scott Cross covers minus 13.5. Everyone's on Kentucky, and I get it, but Lipscomb's pretty good. And I think it may be the peak of the market here with Kentucky after beating Duke. A little bit of a letdown spot. They beat Wright State. They beat Bucknell. They like to score, but Lipscomb's fine scoring also. They were able to hit some threes, get up and down the floor in the A-Sun. They're one of the favorites in the A-Sun this year. They played Belmont, Western Kentucky. They went away to Arkansas. They've seen some teams like this. I think it's a peak of the market for Kentucky. We're going to take Lipscomb +20.5 here and take those points on the road. Don't believe in Michigan State. I've been telling you all year. I like Tom Izzo. I just think he's not getting the talent to match what he needs to do on a national basis. These big numbers against Michigan State, I am going to sell them every single time I see it. Michigan State so far this year, beat Monmouth, nice job. Beat Niagara, great. That helps our pick before. Could not do anything against Kansas. They just mucked it up. And then Bowling Green, they were sleepwalking here. Samford is good. Samford runs up and down the floor. Bucky McMillan, they shoot a lot of threes. They defend the three well. They have the third fastest pace in the country. Samford is a problem. You don't want to play Samford here. This is a team last year that played Kansas. They lost by 4 points to Kansas last year in that opening round game. They ran through the SoCon tournament, blitzed them there. They have a good, decent amount of their minutes back. They also have a lot of experience. They play a lot of players. This is a shaky spot for Michigan State with Samford. Be careful. Wouldn't mind a money line play here. Give me Samford +17.5. 2 games left, and I'll get to your comments. I see them. Chris Holtman is rolling, and I'm not fading Chris Holtman. It's amazing. DePaul has been dying to be relevant. They're up to 112 in Ken Palm, DePaul. How about the job Chris Holtman has done? Southern Indiana, Prairie View A&M, Mercer, and Duquesne. 4 straight games in a row. He's smart. He's scheduled right. He has Eastern Illinois, Northern Illinois, Valpo. Still winnable games 3 more home games in a row. I think they win this game. I think they get to 5-0. I'm going to lay the big number against Eastern Illinois, who's terrible in offense and makes 52% of their free throws. Not a rebounding team, not a defensive team, can't really score, can't make free throws. Against the hot DePaul team, I will take it. And finally, Santa Clara has struggled. I like their bigs a lot when I saw them against St. Louis to start the year, but their backcourt is really shaky. So now Santa Clara, coming off 3 straight losses, is trying to get right at home against UC Riverside. UC Riverside doesn't turn the ball over. UC Riverside, tough team, good defensive team. Santa Clara, I think they have some guards that'll be able to put points up here. They played away at BYU and almost beat BYU there, scoring 80 points in that game. And in that game, they shot 11 of 28 from three-point range. Hargress was 2 of 8. Pickens was 3 of 4. Caleb Smith was 3 of 7. He had 20 points. They got 4 guys who can score in doubles, and they have guards on the perimeter, which Santa Clara doesn't. I'll take the 7.5 in the California rivalry game there. Let's get to your comments, and we'll get out of here. Yeah, I was thinking about it, Niall, for Mimosa, but not today. I have to go on Sirius at 1 o'clock, so we have to be straight up here. Great call there. Appreciate it. John Kelly in the house. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being back. Always great to have you here. Buffalo against Vermont. Yeah, I'm taking Vermont. I'm sticking with it. I believe in John Becker. Buffalo has not impressed me. They got the doors blown off by Bryant. Vermont just can't turn the ball over. I don't think Buffalo's going to turn them over at Vermont. So if you're not turning Vermont over, they're going to beat you. They ended up turning the ball over against Iona. I know. I just think this is a get-right spot, and this is sort of the bottom of the market, having lost a few games in a row there. High rolling, I would be wonderful. Scott, Dartmouth to the moon. We have a Dartmouth fan in the house, and Scott Burke. Very impressive. Scott, they can't create off the dribble. They can't break you down and get to the basket. They dribble, then they kick. Then they dribble, then they kick. That's not going to work today, but I get it. You know, Steve, I want no interest in this Villanova game. I thought about it, Steve. I appreciate I want you to know, I thought about it, man. No interest in this game tonight. Let me pull it up really quick. It's the Villanova game. Where are they? The Wildcats are a train wreck. And they're playing Penn. I mean, Steve, rivalry, Penn, Philadelphia, Freedom. I get it. Eric Dixon should dominate. If there's a prop out for Eric Dixon, you can go for the over. But I'm not touching Villanova with a 10-foot pole. No way. Great comment here from Steve. We love educated people who watch the show. Yes, it's Samford's 3rd game in 5 days, Steve, but they play a ton of guys. And I can go the other way in that they're super sharp right now. They're going to attack a Michigan State team that I don't think is going to know what hit them. I get the tired part, so maybe you want to do a first half line if you're scared of that, but I don't care. He goes 10, 11 deep. Those kids are college kids. They can play. I understand it, but they're going to be fired up to play Michigan State today. I have no concerns with that at all. That is it, folks. In and out, 23 minutes, 20 seconds. Mike Randle here with you. Get into our Discord. Join us at FTN. I put the lines out at night. I put the picks out at night. You can get them right away. Get the best number. We are rolling. Let's stay hot. It's been a great season here. Want to keep it going across the board. Sides have been great. We're working on totals, props, all that stuff. Remember, 2 weeks in, folks, and we are up 14.6 units. That's the season we want. Best start I've ever had. As always, make sure you join us here at FTN. If you're not in it, I don't know why, because we find you the edge.
Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset number 6, have the potential to go at least one more round. Deron